The stage is set for tomorrow night's first Congressional District debate between Congressman Mark Sanford and State Representative Katie Arrington. In this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups, I speak exclusively with two people involved with the event, Councilman Harry Griffin and Charleston County Republican Party Chairman Larry Kobrovsky, one-on-one. And be sure to download the free Quintin's Close-Ups app in your Apple or Google Play stores. Well, gentlemen, it's so good to see you.
Good to see you again.
I appreciate this. Let me just set the stage here.
Okay.
Tomorrow is the first Congressional District debate in Mount Pleasant, Yorktown.
That's right.
I know that you, as the chairman of the Charleston County Republican Party, is putting on this event.
Right.
And I know that you, Harry, is going to be one of the questionnaires for this particular event.
Yes, sir.
Let me get back to that for just a second. I want to start off with some developing news. As you know, the westbound lane in 526 will be reopening on Saturday. From a city of Charleston perspective, what's the headline in your mind that you want to say?
Well, that's a good question. I think the headline just needs to be infrastructure in big letters, because for so long we haven't put the focus on infrastructure, and now we're in a situation where we realize that we probably should have worked on this about a decade ago. And I hope that this is you'll see it with the governor's race. Everybody's talking about infrastructure now, and 526 has come up again. But man, we've been screaming infrastructure, 526 completion. Obviously, we need to rework the bridge on the Wando, over the Wando. It's hurting our port with these truck drivers are having a tough time. The traffic is crazy, but we really have to put a stamp on infrastructure. We need to get down, get dirty, and get this infrastructure done while we have an opportunity to get it done.
And you talk about 526. Obviously, the governor has given his support to the 526 extension. Where do you guys go from here?
Well, we keep pushing Charleston County to make 526 a priority, but if the State Infrastructure Bank is going to take it on, I'd like to see every candidate for governor support the completion of 526. And I really think if they want to win the Low Country, they have to be a proponent of 526.
Let me get back to the debate. This is from the Facebook page. It says this: Friday, June 1st at 7 p.m. until 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. USS Yorktown Association. The Charleston County Republican Party hosts this. South Carolina First Congressional debate, the district debate, that is. Who? Primary rivals: United States Representative Mark Sanford and Katie Arrington. June 1st, 2018. Doors open at 6. The debate is from 7 p.m. until 8:30 p.m. Let me go back to that. The first congressional debate. Why this and why now?
It's a real big deal because we have a rare opportunity to have two candidates. So it's an hour and a half, and just the two of them, and each person's going to have 3 minutes each, and then a minute to rebut, and have a chance to ask each other a question. So again, look at the governor's debate. You have 4 or 5 people, and you really can't do too much, despite the quality of the candidates, because it reduces you to sound bites. And this is a chance to have a historic opportunity to go at each other for an hour and a half and really get a sense of who they are and really have an honest type debate. And who the questioners are, it's a great honor for me to be sitting here with Harry Griffin, who's the youngest councilman in the city of Charleston's history, and somebody I see as a rising star, and it's good to know we have people like him. So it's a real honor for us to have Mr. Griffin as a moderator here and questioner. So it's also a chance to kind of put forward who we see as our stars, and so it's a big deal for that. And one of the two people is going to remain or be a new congressman, and I think at the end of the night people have had an opportunity to really hear who they are and where they're coming from and what their thoughts are to make an informed choice. And having been a candidate myself, when there's like 10 or 12 people, you always so part of the questions I ask and the format is based on my own experience as a candidate and being up there, and how would it be more meaningful, and what can people get out of it, what left me frustrated when I was up there. And you get 30 seconds and everybody's asked different questions, so you always feel the other person got the questions you wanted, the same questions as everyone. So and they have enough time to really go into whatever they want to say. So that's an opportunity, and it's for people to take advantage of.
And you talk about questions. Obviously, Harry, you're one of the moderators. What exactly do you want to hear from these particular candidates?
Well, this is, a really great event on a historic ship. Yorktown just celebrated its 75th anniversary of commissioning. We're doing something that really is unprecedented on this ship, and you have two dynamic candidates who both were state leaders. You know, Katie was in the House.
Right.
Sanford was the governor.
Sure.
And so this is really, they understand state issues, which is great. But we have a need for a strong first congressional representative. And so we want to touch on things like social issues. We want to touch on the economy. We're definitely going to touch on things like infrastructure. And so these are things that everybody cares about. And for me, you know, being a city councilman, ultimately I will have a lot of dealings with this first congressional House representative.
Sure.
I try to deal with their offices on a lot of different things, but you know, they have opportunities to get money back to the state in terms of infrastructure. FEMA is a federal agency that, so you have, you know, our U.S. representative and our senators are constantly meeting with them.
Right.
So this, I would be at this thing anyways, taking notes, but to hear these two speak and really tell us how they're going to stick out in Congress is really important. We've had somebody who's been there for a while.
Okay.
There's somebody who would love that opportunity. So these two figures are so dynamic. They've got different approaches. It sets up for a really, really fun night, but a really informative night that tells us where really our party's going on the federal level.
You talk about approach, and you talk about taking notes. How would you approach that as Councilman Harry Griffin?
Well, I want to know which person is going to fight for the Low Country. We have a very wet area. We've already talked about the lack of infrastructure.
Right.
And ultimately, I just want to see who is going to go and fight for us. You know, it was tough not getting that infrastructure bill done this year, and I hope they'll be able to get it done next year. But I want to see somebody who's going to go and really fight for us for the next 2 years. Obviously, I have not made my decision who it is, but ultimately, whoever it is, I just want to see somebody who puts our best interests at heart.
And you talk about those primary rivalries. What has that been like in your mind, emotionally?
I mean, to see those two. And,
Right.
Well, when you're a candidate, you think the world revolves around yourself, and you kind of get lost up into it. Because, you know, as a party chairman, I have to stay completely neutral.
Right.
And my goal is to, whoever wins, you know, to do everything I can to make them win the general election. And my goal is to, as chairman, is to get as many people to hear both of them, and then whoever they want to get involved with those campaigns and help one of them win in November. So the debate perfectly aligns with that, because it gets it all hang out. They get a full chance to vent where they're coming from, and the max amount of people to see them in a setting that's a meaningful thing, or should be, to all people that live in the South Carolina Low Country, to be in the hangar deck of the Yorktown. The symbolism, because it's a big deal. You walk up there and there's a huge American flag behind you. So it puts people in the proper frame of mind to have something like that. So for me as a chairman, and from again as an experience of a candidate, I know how unique that opportunity is in a primary setting to have two people only and have 90 minutes and just to have serious questions. It's a real unique opportunity. So hope people come, and if they can't make it, it's going to be live streamed on the candidates' Facebook page for the two candidates.
Right.
And immediately after the debate, we're having our Facebook page, the Charleston County Republican Party. We're going to put the whole thing on, so if they aren't available then, they can watch it in its entirety afterwards.
Now, aside from the first congressional districts, there are a lot of other hotly contested races out there. Obviously, you have to be neutral.
Right.
But what is it like for you, the chairman of this party, right now?
Well, it's an exciting time because you have a very heated congressional thing. You have a very heated governor's race. So it's kind of like you want people to participate. You're kind of anxious to get to the next stage so you can move on for the general election. So I'm looking forward to being resolved, and so I can get behind the eventual nominees. But we have some great candidates, you know, and contested primaries for county council and the state house. So we hope for great things in Charleston County to pick up at least one or two, you know, county council seats, and you know, we have the probate judgeship up and the register of deeds. So those are two, you know, really important races for us. And I'd like to mention while we're here
Go
that,
for it.
you know, you always want a judge to be the same to the powerful and the meek, and this, like in a biblical sense, a judge should be neutral no matter how much money you have, how little money you have, how important you are. And I think Judge Condon showed that. You know, he took on the most powerful person in Charleston, the mayor, and you know, and did what he did when the mayor he was the guardian appointed guardian for that elderly woman. By all counts, was very nice to her, but I think it's uncontested. He used her bank account to finance his wife's business and his own, and said he was doing a good job for her. And again, I think I take the position of it's a perfect metaphor for liberal progressive politics, is to use other people's money and claim it's a virtue. You know, I think that the fact that the judge got involved in that, wasn't afraid of who or what it is, and however that turns out, shows the courage and impartiality. It's what you want in a judge. You just apply the law to whoever it is. It doesn't matter how powerful you are or wherever you are in life, and that's what you want.
And I know, Harry, a lot of the council members I've talked to are basically staying out of this issue. Where are you with this?
I just stay out of it. You know, what I will say is we can't allow this situation to really get into the council chambers. You know, he's got to deal with that on his own time. And when we're in council, we've got to be focused on the issues at hand. We had a gentleman have kind of an outburst in the citizen participation period the other night. And you know, I want us to focus. It's kind of like, you know, for me personally, I've got two great careers.
Right.
I work in the maritime industry, and I work as a city councilman.
Sure.
And I work hard at both of those. But I try not to let those bleed into each other. And so I think of the same way, when I step into the council chambers, I'm focused on District 10. When I step out, then I'm dealing with both. And when I get up the next morning and go back to my other career, I focus on that. There has to be a separation there. So, you know, I don't want this situation to take anything away from what we're trying to do in the city of Charleston. And I hope the mayor can handle that on his own time. But like you said, we're all staying out of that because it's a personal issue. And as long as it doesn't impede on our operations as a city, you know, I'm not going to get involved in that. But I will touch on Larry's other point about how many great candidates we've had. And, you know, we have a meeting once a month, the Charleston County Republican Party, and we see so many candidates. I'm so happy to see so many people willing to run. And, you know, you look out on the vast number of people that live in Charleston County. It's an astounding number of people. Just in the city of Charleston alone, you're creeping up towards 150,000. I think in the region we're talking. Do you have an idea?
I saw a number the other day. It was like mind-boggling. It was like getting close to 1 million or something. And Mount Pleasant, East Cooper, is like almost is inching towards 100,000, which is unimaginable, but it's crazy.
You think about this large population, and you think about the few people that are willing to take that leap to run. And ultimately, what I'll say to every candidate out there, congratulations on taking a huge step. It's one of the toughest things you'll ever do. I had a lot of sleepless nights. Both of us have both been candidates.
Right.
You have a lot of sleepless nights, but deep in your heart, you know why you're doing it. And the overwhelming majority of people are doing it because they love this city, they love this county, they love this state, they love this country. And that's what it's all about, taking that leap of faith. So I will always go up and shake the hand of any man or woman who takes that plunge to run for public office. You don't ever expect a pat on the back, nor should you. You're doing a civil service to your fellow man. But it's great to see so many people taking that leap, and I know that our party's in good shape because of the great individuals that we have that are willing to take that chance to run for office.
Well, now, oh yeah, okay. And now, when I flip over to the newspaper the next day, Post and Courier, whatever, what should the headline be about your debate?
I hope that they would say historic, unique debate, that it's like the most substantive debate that they've had between two dynamic leaders, and really, I hope they focus on the substantive part, because again, each candidate is going to have 4 minutes, 3 minutes, and a 1 minute rebuttal on each issue that it comes up, and that's a rare opportunity because you can't just give a sentence. Or I would hope that the discussion in the paper and the media is not on sound bites, but somehow brings out where the candidates and their knowledge of the issues and kind of where they're coming from. Because issues, as Harry knows, in the county can change. You don't know what's going to happen, but you need to know what somebody's mindset is and the framework through which they see things, so you know how they'll apply that to whatever comes up. And that's really, again, the goal. You know, growing up and studying debates of the Nixon-Kennedy one, and then you read about the Lincoln-Douglas one.
Right.
So you always want to see something like that. So it's trying to recreate in part something that, you know, people will remember. That's part of, again, why we're holding it there. I got the idea because when I was on the school board for like 15 years, I instituted, we had the Memorial Day and Veterans Day for the exact same spot, and we'd have like 600 or 1,000 kids coming for each of that, because again, we wanted them to have something to remember, and we thought the context was important. And if you're seeing a debate there for the United States government, Congress, that is something that everybody that goes there will remember for a long time. To make it memorable and meaningful, I guess, is the point. So we hope that we can accomplish that.
And you talk about applying. I want to go to Harry, because obviously when I moderated the debate between you and Summer Massey in November of last year, I learned a lot as a moderator. I'm wondering, what did you learn as a candidate during that debate that you will take into this debate?
Well, overwhelmingly, what I feel is the most important quality of a debate is that it gives the opponents, the candidates, an opportunity to show how they are different. Because so many times somebody will say, well, I can do just like he's doing, but I'm this or I'm that. But ultimately, when you get a one-on-one situation and you have questions that have a lot of substance, like the questions that we've really worked hard to come up with, you pull out the unique qualities of the individual. These two are so dynamic. They have such rich backgrounds in different ways. They are very different, and they're going to agree on a lot. They're both Republicans, so deep down they're conservatives. They can agree on certain things, but we've really worked hard to come up with questions that will give them an opportunity to show how they differ, and bring out their personalities. We don't want it to go to any sort of smear or anything like that, or diminishing the other candidate, but really tell us about policy. Tell us what you're going to do to make the Low Country great, and we're going to give them an opportunity with those questions. And that was really the focal point, I think, when I pretty much pegged for another debate, because I finished a couple points behind in the primary, and they went to a runoff, and I wanted to give the crowd and the audience that watched the debate after an opportunity to see how we were different and let them make that one final call. We've got a debate tomorrow that is only a couple of weeks out from the election, the primary, and it's really going to be one of the last things I think people remember. And it's the only debate that they're going to have.
That's true.
So it's not like the governor's race where you've had 5 or 6. You've got one chance to get up in front of a pretty much sold out crowd. And then you'll have, with how social media works and how you can share posts, you might have thousands of people that watch this video. So this is a great day, and I hope the headline is that we put on a debate for the ages. You always remember the big ones. I hope people remember this one.
Good points, Harry, because again, there's such different personalities. That itself would be some entertainment value and interest, as well as the substance. So we hope people find it memorable and worth their time to watch it and come, and that they learn something. And that would be something that we've accomplished then.
Well, you got 24 hours left, so we'll be
Thanks for coming
anytime. Harry and Larry. Larry Kobrovsky.
Harry and Larry.
Harry and Larry.
I just want to add that it's a great honor to have Harry be one of the questioners and moderators.
Thank you. I always want to give our party an opportunity to know everything they need to know going into an election. And that's what we're trying to do tomorrow night. And I think we'll accomplish that.
We'll do our best.
We have. Yes, sir. We have, and we will.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.